It's Monday, March 3rd. We're in March, 2 weeks left in the 9 weeks. It is not too late for Camp T permission slips. This week when I get the updated form list, I will go through and see who is still missing things. Grammar review and the quiz on Wednesday. I'll review grammar and then we'll take a quizzing thing. And over here, your myth quiz is posted on that one. I've updated it except for the kids who are currently in the hallway taking it. Quiz-wise, overall average grade was a 78%. In this class, we had the most perfect scores at 2.5. We had 2 kids get perfect scores, and then my half a kid is we had 1 kid get a 29 out of 30. And so I figured that was sort of like a half score. So it was really close. So I figured 2.5. So technically, you guys are in the lead. If you got lower than a C-, you can redo it. I've opened it up for a 3rd attempt. And if you want to redo it after I go over the answers here in a moment, you can get up to C-. If you're happy with your grade, that's fine with me. If you got higher than a C-, you're already smart. I apologize. You'll just be out of luck there. So the first one. This one was my which kids read the question versus just looked at their blue sheet. When it says, why was Hephaestus connected to volcanoes? The thing most kids put down, mountain of fire. That doesn't say, why was Hephaestus connected to volcanoes? Yeah, it just came down to you remembering the story where I talked about him living and working in the volcanoes. So it's where he lived and worked. The mountain of fire is the definition of volcano. Different answer for a different question. 2, which of these is most ironic, meaning the opposite of what we expect? This required you to know what they were the god of. So Athena, what's she the god of? Wisdom. So if you're starting a tutoring company about making kids smart, naming it after Athena, makes sense. What is Hera the god of? Marriage. There you go. Marriage and childbirth. So if you're making a wedding site or a wedding dress company, you would want to be connected to the god of marriages. Would make sense. What is Hades the god of? And?
He doesn't like people.
There you go. Not liking other people. So if you're creating a social media site, which is all about interacting with other people, you would probably not name it after Hades, who's known for hating people. Hermes, well, he runs around a lot. He's known for running, so I figure a shoe company connected to him would make sense. So that's what I was trying to get you to do on this one, to go through and do your thinking bits. 3. On this one, if you did not remember the caduceus staff, my question was, how many kids are going to go Google what the caduceus staff is? Not what does it do, what does it look like?
Two snakes have some wings.
There you go. Stick with the snakes and the wings. What did he use it to do?
Heal.
So I was hoping if you went and Googled it and you saw the picture of the thing in his hand up there with the 2 snakes and the 2 wings, it would come back to you and you would remember the whole hospital thing, which is why I made that big deal about it. So I was hoping this was that remembering me telling you the story thing. And it's exactly what you did. Good job.
I'm still good at remembering.
For number 10, this required thinky bits. Because it says, if Gaia was struggling with her marriage, who would she talk to?
Zeus.
Why would she talk to Hera?
Because she's the god of marriage.
That's all I wanted you to do, was to go back to that one about irony and go, Hera's the god of marriage. I did have kids say, but Hera wasn't alive yet. And I go, yeah, I know. That's why it says, even though this god was not born yet. They're like, oh yeah, actually it was right there in the question. My answer is, yes, it was right there in the question. 11. So on this one was a kind of a thinky one and kind of a really question. According to your notes, who were the tallest ones? 50-headed monsters. Are the 50-headed monsters listed up there?
No.
Exactly. So now here's where the thinky bits come in. Let's play a fun game. Who is taller between the Titans and Olympians?
Titans.
They're the exact same. An Olympian is a Titan. Who's taller between the Titans and the gods and the posters around the room?
The same.
Again, they're the same. Which means this answer, and this answer are all the exact same. So if it was one, it would have to be all of them. Or if it's not one, it can't be any of them. Which then means your answer is between Cyclops and Mr. Broviak. Unless you think I am a big ugly monster, which is possible, then that should make the answer easy. Because then it becomes So again, this one I was hoping was not hard, but I think you guys got to it and your brain just went and just like spazzed out for a second. But I was trying to make it easy-ish. Then going to our final ones where I had grammar, the two verbs where it says Zeus was very friendly and he created many children. Most of you got the second verb pretty easily, which was
Created.
but some of you did not write in your notes all of the linking verbs, which would be, and so that's where was comes in. For the kids who wrote down friendly, what does friendly end in? So what does that make it?
An adverb.
Nicely done. For the kids who wrote down many, it's describing children. What's children? What describes nouns? So that's why it can't be that one. Speaking of adjectives, there were three.
That one was hard.
Hades was scary, and his dark personality killed weak people.
Scary and dark.
Scary's the first one, and then,
Dark.
and the last one,
Weak.
there you go. You only had to have two. Scary and dark, scary and weak, dark and weak. As long as you have two, you were good to go. That was all the answers on there. Questions as far as those go. Yaysies. Then, if you want to redo it, you are more than welcome to, and then just email me and I will update your grade and you should be good to go. Now, I'm going to do a quick little reviewy thing since we've not done Greek mythology in like 3 or 4 days, just to get into today's stuff. So by the time I get done talking in a moment, our whole front side will be done. That's what we're going to say. By the time I'm done, the whole front side. Mr. Broviak, make fun of me. I did make it. It's okay. So first off, when Zeus goes to confront his father, what weapon does he use to free his brothers and sisters?
Poison. I mean,
There you go. He brings the pukey potion.
yeah.
And that's when he gives it to his dad, and we get to the pukey bits. How many babies does he throw up?
5.
And one. There you go. And that's where our rock comes in. When those babies begin the fight, who are the two sides in the battle?
Kronos and Zeus.
What are the two sides called?
Titans versus Olympians.
Who runs the Olympian side?
Zeus.
Who runs the Titan side?
Kronos.
Nicely done. And then, since apparently Cronus is not very good at running the army, who steps up?
Atlas.
There's where Atlas comes in. Prometheus uses his superpower, and what does he see?
That they're gonna lose.
So because he sees that, what does he choose to do?
Switch sides.
Who does he bring with him?
Empty ocean.
Why? Who does not join?
Atlas.
Why?
Because he's a very good guy.
That's because he's trying to help out. And then, even though Prometheus switches sides, Zeus still doesn't win. Until Prometheus helps him understand something. What does Prometheus help him understand?
Tartarus.
And which is the beast within. Who are the beasts within?
The gold and lion.
So then he goes down and frees them. And then what do the big ugly monsters have to agree to? So they get to be free. The Cyclops, we'll talk about them in a moment. What happens to all the humans?
They die.
Smashy, smashy, death, death. And then we get to big fighty fight. And then during fighty fight, the Cyclops step up. And what weapon do they make for Zeus?
Lightning bolt.
That's where our bucket of lightning bolts comes in. For Poseidon,
Trident.
and that's where the trident or the tri-pokey stick comes in from there. Who is the third brother?
Hades.
And what did they make for him?
Invisible helmet.
Helm of darkness. So you can hold on to it on your desk. That's how you get your shoe back at the end of class. Don't forget to pout though. It helps the emotions come out. And then we have the three of them who they get to help fight. That begins to make the difference. During the fight, again, what happens to the humans?
They die.
We will talk about the new race of humans coming up. All the gods who fought against him, what does he do? That throws them into Tartarus. Where do the big ugly monsters go? Behind the mountain. Where do the Cyclops go?
In the mountain.
And nicely done. And then I think we had not got. So at this point we've not gotten to this next part, have we?
No.
So during the war, it was thought that the sky was a large bowl, not bowl like but bowl like cereal, gobble gobble. And this bowl was sitting on top of a mountain. During the war between the gods, with the big ugly monsters throwing things and lightning bolts flying around, this mountain that the sky was sitting on began to sort of like break apart, and their worry was that the sky was going to slide off and fall and crush everything. So Zeus starts coming up with a plan to prevent the sky from falling and crushing everything. He tries to find a way to brace it, but nothing seems to really hold it up. And his best idea is if he can make somebody lift it, that would work the best. Turns out there's a god he really doesn't like who is also really strong.
Atlas.
And so he goes to talk to Atlas. And he goes, hey, I'm not throwing you in the pit of Tartarus. Instead, I'm going to have you go hold the sky on your shoulders. That way it prevents the sky from falling down and crushing everybody. But when you see pictures of Atlas, he's not holding the sky. Usually show him holding the world, which is confusing. But a lot of that comes down to how do you carve a picture of someone holding the sky if the sky's invisible? It just looks like someone going, and that looks really odd and creepy, so they usually show that up there. But imagine it's just the sky he's holding up instead. So now, up on top of this mountain, now we have Atlas holding up the sky. But here's a problem. He's making him hold up the sky as a punishment. So imagine I give Jaden a detention. And I go, Jaden, as part of your detention, you have to hold this 25-pound weight up in the air. And I'm going to lay down on the ground below you, and that's your detention. What is Jaden going to do?
Throw it on you.
I do like how quickly you guys are like, oh, he's going to crush you right over. Exactly. Jaden's going to go, it's so splat. Guess I'm done. And you get to walk away. Zeus realizes the same problem. Atlas is just going to go, oh, no, shucks. So he comes up with a plan. And he goes, Atlas, to prevent you from killing all of us, you have 9 daughters that were thrown into the pit of Tartarus. And he goes down and pulls the 9 daughters out of the pit of Tartarus. And it says, I am going to let your daughters go free, and they get to live at the base of the mountain where you live, and they can come up and visit you whenever you want. So now, if you drop the sky, what happens? And so that ends up working. Atlas does not drop the sky, and he gets to visit with his daughters whenever he wants. And the daughters were called the Hesperides. I don't know why, if it was like their last name or their first names. All I know is that the 9 Atlas daughters were called the Hesperides. And there were these 9 girls that would come to visit him. Now, Zeus is taken over. Things look like they're going well. And Zeus goes, you know what? Cronus ruled the entire world all on his own. I'm not greedy. Zeus decides to break the world up into 3 kingdoms where him and his 2 brothers each get part of the world. Your thought might be, what about the sisters? That's adorable. Don't forget, #sexism. The girls don't get to control anything. They just get to be girls. Because again, #sexism. So Zeus decides to break up the world into 3 separate kingdoms. Because Zeus goes first, he gets first choice. For his kingdom, he chooses... There you go. He's like, I want everything on the land on up. If it's on the land, it's mine. If it's above the land, it's mine. Land and above, mine. Poseidon goes, I don't care. That's not what I wanted anyway. Because what does Poseidon want? Specifically, oceans. He wanted all of the oceans and the seas. He didn't really care about like the pond in your neighborhood or like a river. He's like, other gods can have that. He wants the big squishy things. And it came to Hades. And here's where a lot of the media gets things wrong, where they try to make it sound like Hades was forced to have this. In Greek mythology, he was not forced to have the underworld. He wanted it. Because when Zeus is explaining everything, Hades is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not going to start talking to people just because I have a kingdom. So whatever I control, I don't want there to be anyone there to have to bother me. Zeus goes, you want a kingdom with nothing in it? He's like, yeah, I want a kingdom where no one bothers me. He's like, the only thing that would work is underneath the ground. Hades is like, done! Under the ground is my kingdom. No one can bother me down there. And so Hades picks everything under the ground. And he was like, I'm going to go down there. And I'm going to have my guitar I can play. And I can paint my fingernails black. And I can wear all the dark clothing that I want. And this is going to be great. And he goes down there and becomes his own little emo. And things are awesome. So to help you visualize, Zeus, there, and up to there. Poseidon into this area. Hades is in control of Tartarus, and there are gods down there. He's not supposed to talk to them anyway because they're in timeout. And you're not supposed to talk to a kid in timeout. So because of that, he doesn't even bother talking to them. They are technically in his kingdom, but he doesn't go around them. And we're going to get to humans, but the first generation of humans died off, and we don't care about them anyway. Second generation of humans, there we're going to talk about in a moment. So at this point, Zeus now has separated all three kingdoms. He is now up on Mount Olympus. Ooh, how many thrones on Mount Olympus?
3.
Because how many original Titans were there? So 12 thrones. Zeus decides he wants to create his own group of rulers. He's like, I'm going to start filling in these thrones on Mount Olympus. The first 6 thrones are easy. Because who's he going to give the first 5 thrones to?
His friends.
Not his friends.
The boy.
Brothers and sisters. Don't be sexist. Brothers and sisters, both. Now, there are 6 other thrones we're going to get to in a moment. But here is where your piece of paper comes in a moment. First off, did you have questions as far as the whole front side? We should be done on front side. In theory, if you flip it over, we even have a couple questions on the back side if you really want to pay attention to there. All right, so here is where your paper comes in. Remember back during short stories when you guys got to do the whole character setting, plot, point of view theme? And then we did poetry where we got to do the thing about the similes and metaphors. And then we did Greek mythology where you memorized all 12 gods.
I can do that.
Here's the part where we get to memorize all 12 gods. So let's get into it. We're going to learn our dancing moves to go along with it. Oh, it is so good. So, either notebook or piece of paper, we're going to create our charts so that we can help you learn a thing. So you're going to have 3 up and downy columns. One that is the 12 gods. One that is you're going to tell me what it is they're in control of. And one for your dance move. And then you have 12 acrossies. Because how many thrones are there? 12. Good job, learning children. And we're going to go through and help you out. And I will give you the background story on how each god got their throne. Like how Athena, I did the story about her being born from Zeus's head. I have little stories to go along with all of the gods. Are they going to be entertaining? Oh, yeah, they are. Is there going to be Brovi art? Oh, yeah, there is. So, in a moment, when this disappears, don't freak out. It's also kind of on the next screen, too. I feel the same way. How could you get attention?
We make our own.
Yes.
No, you don't.
I know. Kids are so sassy nowadays. I would never sass a child. Those of you at home, you can't see it, but every kid in the room nodded their head and went, yes, we agree with you.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Now they feel bad and they're just lying. You know how kids are. You can never trust a teenager.
That's true.
So, as we get into it, our first god to get a throne should be easy. That's going to be? Zeus. Yeah. Zeus is like, yeah, I'm the one that freed everybody. I get first choosies. So Zeus becomes our first one to get a throne. Plus, I figure what we say for him should be the easiest because what's his main job?
Everything. The king of everything.
There you go. You have choices. You could put king of all gods. You could put top dog. You could put the big banana. You can put, I don't know, the goat, all that bag of chips, whatever works.
Yeah.
You could put the LeBron of Greek mythology, if that works for you. And so then for our hand, I'm sorry, were you Spider-Man for a second? Pew, 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 pew. For our hand sign that's going to go along with them, I figure every time we see Zeus, by the way, this is Zeus over here looking like a, I was going to say mermaid. It was like a mermaid in the sky, so we'll call him like a sky maid. Or a genie, which is like a sky maid. Over here, he's doing the same thing. And over here, between the 2 basketball players, he's doing the same thing, which is his second favorite activity, which is holding a lightning bolt and getting ready to smite people. What's his first favorite activity? Making friends. Making friends is his first one. And I figured for our hand sign to go along with it, We are not doing one for his first favorite activity. That would be creepy. We're going to do one for his second favorite activity. That is slightly less creepy. So you're going to do your best Zeus pose. Pick the person that you think needs smiting. Point at the person that needs smiting. Hold your lightning bolt. And you're going to go, Zeus, king of all gods. And you're going to hold your lightning bolt. Now, I will say as I'm watching you guys do your Zeus smitings, be careful. If you're one that I'm guessing you're probably right-handed for most of you, and you have pencil in right hand, when you hold up for your smiting, be careful with your lightning bolt, because if you get excited and you're like, Zeus, king up, and your lightning bolt goes free, you're going to become child king of unicorns. When you throw something in a kid's head, there's like, dunk, right in there. We may have to have a discussion. So try not to kill somebody. So after Zeus, our next one to get a throne is Poseidon. But there's an issue. As soon as Poseidon's like, ooh, my turn, another god goes, ahem. Not a good idea. If you don't want to spend the rest of time sleeping on the couch, Poseidon's not the next one to get a throne. And that's where Hera steps up. And so Hera goes, this is where I step in. And Zeus goes, yes, dear. I'm sorry, dear. She goes, that's what I thought. And so Hera becomes our next one to get a throne. Gets a little tricky. What are the two things Hera's the control of? Here's the problem. She is the god of both childbirth and marriage. But in almost all the stories of her, that doesn't really show up. Seldom in stories does it really matter that she's the god of marriage or childbirth. Remember, hashtag Greeks are sexist. Here, the main thing she's going to be known for is being Mrs. Zeus. So if he's king of all the gods, there you go. So even though she does have things she's in control of, her biggest claim to fame is just being married to him and being queen of all the gods. So the hand sign for all of these, you are welcome to come up with your own if you want. I am fine with that. The ones I come up with are just the ones I thought worked, but if you have a different one, like for Hera, earlier the kids didn't like the one I came up with, and I had a girl who wanted to do this one, and she was like, this is mine. And I'm like, baby shark? And apparently, no, not baby shark. Do you know what this was supposed to be? It scares me. How many of you guys figured that out? Like, all the girls were like, marriage! And I'm like, how is that not baby shark? But yes, they were talking about marriage. And then I also had this thing show up, which I'm like, the babies, which is also fine. Not the way I went.
Mr. Brovi, this one for the peacock.
I went for, not bad, queen of all gods. So what I went for, if only you could see these children. I did half circle and half circle together makes full circle, rotate, and it's a, wow. And you put it on top of head. Now, for a crown, now you have to be careful. There is a difference between Hera, queen of the gods, and if you get too excited and hit your head too fast, it becomes Hera, queen of the mooses, and she's not queen of the mooses, she's queen of the gods. Now, for those of you who are a pretty princess like myself, and you would like to have a sparkly crown, you can have a little sparkly crown. But again, there is a difference between Hera, queen of the gods, and Hera, queen of the sparkle mooses. And so you want to make sure you don't become a sparkle moose. That's a whole different thing. Those of you who want to be a sparkle moose, I'm not one to stand in your way. You sparkle moose to your little heart's content. Omar. She does tend to dispose of a lot. If that's what works for you, I'll try not to judge you. I'm just not sure how easy that will be. So now that Hera has a throne, our next one to get a throne is, that's where Poseidon gets to step up. And Poseidon's like, is it my turn? And Zeus looks at Hera and goes, is it his turn? And she goes, I don't care what you do, I got my throne. And Poseidon's like, hey, it's my turn. So Poseidon steps up, and we already know what he's the god of. Water. Specifically, the sea. There you go. He is the god of getting grades higher than D. The god of C's. Come on. My jokes are as old as the god. Oh. And so we have Poseidon. God.
Did you know him personally?
Wow, we hung out when I was a kid. And so now, haters. With this one, my thought is for the hand sign. Imagine I took a sassy child like Nate and threw him into the middle of Poseidon's kingdom. This is what Nate would hope to do. Swim. Well, for some of us, I was going to say drown, but for each their own. So yes, you're going to act like a swimmer. You have options. You could make like Tyson from our book and be like a little swimmy person. Some of you are going to do more of a swimmy person. That works too. Other of you aren't sure how to swim. If you're like Ricardo and you're not sure how swimming works, you're more than welcome to do a doggy paddle. I believe his was called drowning butterfly, which is also good. For those of you who are like Nate, and we hope that I have tied a rock around your waist, instead of swimming, you can do this little thing, or like a Ricardo, where you can just sort of go down. Others of you have more of a hand-eye coordination thing, and you can do like a thisy thing, and that works for me too. Hi, kid learning patience. What's up?
Can I do him throwing the trident?
Sure. I had a class earlier who wanted to do a trident, and so they were doing this as like him holding a trident. If you do trident, make sure all your fingers go up when you do it so that we don't have issue. Because if not, that might be another issue. When you're like, it's a spear. No, it's not. It's a trident. So know your difference in all of those. Mr. Broviak, time number one. Oh, yeah. It was on video.
What?
It was on video.
You use this finger now.
After Poseidon, our next one to get a throne. Again, remember, hashtag sexism. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about Hades and what happens when he gets to step up to the throne.
Why did that
Who knows? You're a silly boy. It's probably because you're drowning right now. Mr. Broviak, I'm learning. But I hope, sorry, I would never accuse you of being smart, Avery.